Hi, we're back with Kevin Cho from WCC, and today we have a deck profile for Premium. So why don't you tell me what you play for Premium, which events? I see that you've topped twice with this same deck, and yeah.
Okay, so my premium choice for honestly this whole season was Go Paladin. I think it's the strongest deck in the game personally. I topped at Atlanta, top 8. I was X1. And I recently topped at Toronto, also X1, top 8. So yeah, that's been my choice. It's just been Go Paladin the whole way.
So why do you choose Gold Paladin over some of the other recent picks? I believe Neo Nectar and Dark Irregulars were very popular decks as well.
So honestly, I just completely rule out Neo Nectar because I'm not a big fan of how linear the deck is. It just does not do enough for me. I like for my decks to have a lot of big combos. And NOK was my backup choice, just because if any of you guys have kept up, I actually won Care Expo last year with No Life Death King. So I was the first one to want to play it, but it just has too little advantage for me. It does combos, but it can break incredibly hard. So yeah, that's why Go Paladin is just all the way.
All right, let's get into it. Let's go over the deck profile. Yeah.
Okay, so for my deck, I ran for my grade 3s 4 Platinum Ezel, 4 Raven Haired Ezel, and 4 Blonde Haired Ezel. Just to summarize, Blonde Haired Ezel lets you Superior Ride, Raven lets you Superior Ride some more. Platinum is the key of my deck that I will explain the combo with after I show my deck choice. But yeah, these are really standard cards for Premium. Everybody pretty much plays Blonde and Raven just as this is a Superior Ride deck, and yeah. Oh, sorry, get these guys out of there. And yeah, I will explain my choice for Platinum at the end of the deck profile. Next up is 4 Bowman. Don't really have to explain much here. He's really integral part of your Superior Ride. You need him to Superior Ride into Blonde Ezel, and yeah, I don't think there's too much to explain. Anybody looking into the Premium deck profile for Gold Paladin would know that these are your most important parts of your deck, most important parts of the engine. Next up is the most unfair card in Premium right now, Wonder Ezel. He lets you Superior Ride a second grade 3 from your deck. Super powerful. You just Superior Ride into extra XLs, build extra front row, and yeah, that's all. He lets you toolbox into any Ezel you want, and yeah, there's really no reason to play any less than 4. You could run the other Wonder Ezel if you're really trying to get into the Superior Ride, but I personally am not too big a fan of focusing too much on the Superior Ride. Next up for grade 1s, for Dindrin. Dindrin is pretty staple. She counter charges and or draws a card. Yeah, she just for this particular version of the deck, I see a lot of people don't run as many Dindrains as I do, but once I've explained the combo, you guys will kind of see why I need more counter charging or yeah. So I actually don't have a way to proc Dindrain for the most part. However, I do run 3 Brenius. So since this card's kind of obscure, I'll just explain what he does. When your Vanguard is placed, literally placed, so any way you gain a Vanguard, like if you Superior Ride, if you Regular Ride, if you Stride, you can activate Brenius' skill. He goes to Soul, you draw a card, and you call a card to deck. That's realistically one of the only 2 ways I can proc Dindrain, so yeah. Yeah. Brenius is another card that kind of builds towards my combo, or the combo I'm focusing on, and yeah, that's why I run her. I don't run, yeah, I'll explain that later. Next up is 3 Hoel. So on place, he's Soul Charge, Counter Charge if you have an Ezel Vanguard. I have a lot of Counter Charge cards in my deck, and you guys will kind of get why later on after I've explained. Essentially, the whole deck works towards one combo, and I need a lot of combos for it. And last up is 2 Gareth. Garrett's pretty self-explanatory. He's another card you need on the field to Superior Ride, so yeah. I didn't really use the second skill too much. For triggers, 4 V crits, or 8 V crits, 4 with effects, 4 draw, 4 heal. I didn't run any fronts. I don't really see the need to. I just want my opponent at a higher damage as soon as I can. I didn't run any stands because I don't want to stand on an Ultima turn. I don't think it's particularly threatening. And yeah, I think your crits are really important for the deck, for your finish turn, and you don't want to risk not having enough crits in the deck. So yeah, it's a very cookie cutter deck. I would warn you guys. It does the exact same thing every game, and but it does it well. So next up, I only run 1 copy of non-V era Kirf. So he's essentially just a 5th copy of Blonde Ezel for you to open up with. And yeah, I see a lot of people run more than 1. They run 2, they run 3. However, I don't focus this deck too much on the Superior Ride. If anything, I focused it more on not getting the Superior Ride. Like, if I just have to regular ride up to grade 3, I want to still have access to plays. And I just didn't want any more copies of Kirf in my deck for, like, just vanilla purposes. And then your starter is obviously the draw starter, just because you can't run Kirf as your starter. Alright, next up for strides. Really self-explanatory stuff. Spirit X. He's the stride that makes your whole deck incredibly broken. He can stride on your opponent when they're at 2, as long as, or 2 or lower, as long as you have a grade 3 Vanguard and you have 2 Counterblast. So yeah, he just makes it so that you will always win the grade 2 game, and that's just incredibly powerful. A lot of games I didn't even do the Superior Ride if I had it, just because my opponent is gonna have to give me first stride because of Spirits. It's just, and I want first stride. I want to be able to be ahead of my opponent in the generation break game. Yeah, it's just really important. 2, Glorious Reigning. This is a very alright card. If your opponent is at 5 damage and you want to get extra attacks, this is the card you want to go into. But in any other scenario, 1 damage trigger will shut him down, and I just don't think he's that strong personally. He is really helpful for getting triggers back into your deck. That's honestly the main purpose he serves in my deck. So yeah. A lot of people ask me about this, and it's so 2 Absolution Ezel. For those of you guys who don't know, because this card is kind of old, he's a Counterblast 1, unlock all of your cards, and call a card from your deck from the top 5. So Link Joker isn't particularly strong in the meta right now, I would say. However, oddly enough, you need a card to flip with this Spirit X. So there really is no reason to run any more copies of other G units when you could add a different G unit that you might potentially need and just flip it in all scenarios you don't need, which is more than likely gonna happen. Like, as long as you don't play against Link Joker, you just flip him. And that's fine. He just opens up options, really. Like, just in case anybody decides to run any spicy text, which in fact I did run into a Messiah deck, which this was incredibly powerful against. Shout out to Brian. And then next up, I run 3 Gurgit Helios. Now, Gurgit Helios' skill is to gain a 4th drive by flipping a copy of himself, but the reason I run 3 is his second skill is gaining 5,000 power for all of your rear guards and stopping your opponent from guarding with grade 1 or graders. This card is actually really strong against certain decks that still run grade 1 PGs like Neo Nectar or Luard, and that's why I felt like in the scenario in which I've used the first one up, I want to have the option to go into a second one. I couldn't fit another copy in to gain the drive, but that's absolutely fine because just blocking grade 1 or graders is just really powerful. Like, it can just steal games. So next up is Sunrise Gurgit. So basically, this is the stride you go into if you can't go into Ultima. If you didn't draw the G guard and you can't accelerate your G Bree and you have to go for the push, you can give your front row power And my entire deck builds a lot of soul and countercharge, or a lot of free countercharging. So, yeah, he's just a really powerful backup. Honestly, in a lot of scenarios, he's just really good. There was several times I couldn't draw a heal trigger, and he just saved me because my opponent either didn't have a PG and couldn't guard him, or they couldn't guard all of the front rows getting power. It's really easy to activate his skill multiple times when you build all this soul and you countercharge all this. So Ultima, your ultimate stride, literally the finisher of the deck. You're gonna go into it like 80% of the time. He stacks 2 triggers and then gives all those triggers to your entire front row, and he's just extremely lethal. You almost all the time you go into him, you're just gonna finish your opponent off right there because the sheer amount of attacks is just unfair at such a large boost with criticals. Yep. There's not really a lot to explain there. G-Guards, 3 Slay Me, just in case I need to return criticals for Ultima. I need to search for, strong shield value. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. And Elise, so this is Elise. Her skill is not too powerful. It's actually her cost that's really powerful. She flips a G unit, so if you happen to be holding 2 heal triggers, which I was at one scenario before top 8, and it's what won me the game. I was holding two heal triggers. I double G-Guard right into Ultima, and that was just it. That's the wrap. Like, it's just that's really all she serves as, just a flip G-Guard. The Aglium is actually a lot more powerful because sometimes you just don't have certain cards, or you just want to ditch triggers and get normal units, stuff like that, or dig for a copy of your banger. Yeah, I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Let's go into some of your special combos that, what would you say were some of your favorite combos, or let's say, what was your favorite combo that you believe won you the majority of your games?
Oh.
That isn't, the standard Ultima, stack 2 triggers, kill, and or, my opponent gave me 2 counter blast while I did my Spirit Rex and get them.
Okay, so that's very easy to explain because that's literally the purpose of the deck. It's exactly one combo involving Paladin Ezel. Oh, sorry. Involving Paladin Ezel. So, for those of you guys who don't know, Paladin Ezel's skill is Counter Blast 1, change the first drive check of the turn to check top 2 cards, drive check 1, call the other one. And if you have 2 grade 3s in your soul or more, you change all of your drive checks that turn. Now, why is that so powerful? Because you can activate his skill, and if you can somehow get into a stride afterwards, after activating his act skill, then you can change 3 drives into check top 2, drive check 1, which is kind of like doing 6 drives. Sometimes it kind of depends. So I built the entire deck around the philosophy of grinding onto Platina and afterwards going into Spirit Rex. Now I'm gonna show you an example of how you can do that. So it's actually really easy to do with this deck. So let's say you bricked out of your mind. You have to normal ride to grade 3. Well, let's say for example you ride into Blind Ezel. As long as you're holding a Raven-Haired and a Wonder Ezel, and this is actually only one potential way to get into it, you can Superior Ride, sorry about this, you already have a gift, draw a card, then use Wonder Ezel to go right into Platinum. This isn't even the only way to Superior Ride. You can also Superior Ride with Bond Ezel skill. By having a Bowman and a Gareth on the field, which is not the easiest thing, but as long as you're holding a Bowman, you can do it. So the big key to have is a Wonder Ezel. However, you do filter quite a bit. That is why I play so many counter chargers, like Hoa and Dintrain. So let's say, hypothetically, you only have access to 3 counter blasts. You're on a Blonde, and you need 1 to go into Raven here. Now, all of your holes have become super important because if you have Wonder Ezel and you go into Platina, call Ho-Oh, you can now activate Platina's skill, change all 3 drives, then Counterblast 2, and then go into Spirits. And now all 3 of your drives this turn are check top 2, drive check 1. It's just an incredibly powerful turn, honestly speaking. And there's like a million different ways you can get into this. Because if you didn't have Ho-Oh, you might have Brainius and a Dendrine to countercharge. Or you might find a Dendrine off of Spirix. There's just so many different ways you can run into this combo, and that's why it's so incredibly powerful. And that's what I built the entire deck on. If I can reach to this combo and I get to stabilize, then even if I did not get the Superior Ride this game, I still get a really aggressive turn followed by Ultima. And yeah, that's what I built the deck for. Like, this combo is just really powerful. It's really good at coming from behind. That's the big thing here. Like, if you missed your Superior Ride, you want to still have plays. You don't want to just have nothing, just stride Spirix and then die to a Katrina or a DI turn next turn. You want to at least be digging through your deck for heal triggers or draw PGs, or like finding some way to push and gain hand, which this combo does really well. And that's why I ran so many cards that most players don't run, like Brainius and so many Dendrines, just because I wanted to have maximum consistency of this combo. I wanted to always have the resources necessary to hit this combo, and yeah, that's just the focus of the deck. I did this combo quite often. At least half of my rounds I did this combo. Just because somehow I didn't draw the Superior Ride, or I chose not the Superior Ride in order to get first stride. There's just a lot of ways you can run into this combo, and that's why I built the deck in the way I did. So yeah.
So obviously Ezel has really great aggression, very great stabilizing, almost an unsurvivable endgame. What do you think would be, the deck's... What deck do you regret playing against whenever you're playing Ezel? What do you think Ezel doesn't do as well against? I mean, obviously outside of rogue decks.
Yes. I would rule out Neonectar. One part because I have not lost the game to it in any of my 16 rounds in both regionals. I think this deck has a really good Neonectar matchup. I would also rule out DI because you have a very... DI is just... It needs so many different pieces, and you're going to aggro them out of those pieces, and you dig for heals and PGs, so it's not unthinkable you can survive the turn. I don't think that's a favorable matchup for them. However, there is one matchup I would say has a chance, in my experience. I think it's Kagero. If Kagero can get to its first grade 3 ride and stride, it can swing for lethal enough that if I'm playing Go Paladin and I can't eat that first dungeon, then they might actually be able to finish me. Even that's kind of unlikely. I feel like there's honestly not a lot of decks that can stand up to Ezel. The one deck that could have stood up to Ezel in this meta is Ange, and Ange is not a deck because they got hit. So, yeah.
All right. Any shoutouts you'd like to give?
Shoutouts, of course. I would like to give a shout out to all of my friends at WCC, especially Derek Dow, because he always would help me talk about this Go Paladin deck, help me, build it up. He even won his regional with Go Paladin, so can't wait to see you in Japan, buddy. Yeah, me and Albert are like, we always talk about decks. Everybody else in WCC for helping me, check out the meta, helping me, always posting, different tops, so that's pretty awesome. Hella shoutouts to all my friends at Card Fighters Underground who helped me playtest. I appreciate it. It took a really long time to get an Ezel build that I like, honestly speaking. I kept changing it. So, yeah, I appreciate it. yeah, I can't give any specific shout outs because I'm really thankful to everybody, all my friends who, you know, help me play this and help me learn any kind of matchups and how to play this deck.
All right. Congrats on your tops, and we hope to see you again, Kevin. Bye.